Celebrate, everyone. It is a Friday edition of Orange and Blue Today. That is Cecil, Amy, Andrew Mason here to talk about the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints in what is a weird preseason finale, Mace, compared to what we're used to, which is starters not playing. We're getting starters on Saturday.
Getting 8 to 10 plays roughly out of Bo Nix and company on the offense. We're even going to see them on the defense, and all indications are we're going to see potentially 2 starters on defense that we haven't seen in the preseason. We're potentially going to see Alex Singleton and Dre Greenlaw out there together and get the first glimpse of the new inside linebacker duo potentially working out there. And so, even if Bo Nix was not going to play in this game, frankly, seeing Greenlaw and Singleton, assuming they get to get a little bit of run on the defensive side, that would be worth seeing. But yeah, Bo Nix right there, getting a little bit of work, that's probably going to be worth everyone watching at minimum when the game starts at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Yeah, get up early. Brunch with the Broncos. Ooh. As they get it done down there in the Superdome. By the way, noon Central Time, noon local time kickoffs in New Orleans. Never a good idea, in my opinion, but that's what they're going with.
Okay, that's what they're going with, and that's what we'll be watching for. What do we need to see from the offense? Bo specifically, and just kind of the passing game. Does it need to be a touchdown drive? I've said a score. I would like to see a score, and that's a field goal too. Because if it's an 8-play drive and they're running the ball and it's very balanced, they take a deep shot, but it doesn't hit, but they're still moving the chains and they get in field goal range and they get 3 points, I'm good.
A score, a sustained drive, because, hey, it would be nice if they came out on that first play and hit a 75-yard shot for a touchdown, but then I think Sean Payton would send them right back out for a second drive because I think he wants to see them have a sustained series. I think he wants to see them get into a flow. I think he even wants to see them have a third down or 2. I think he wants to see them in some situations. I think he wants to see them face a little bit of adversity. I think he wants to see them in a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 type of situation. But I think he wants to see just them get into a typical series flow of things. And I say 3rd down, maybe not 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, maybe 3rd and 3. He wants to see the offense, I think, operating on schedule. And 3rd and 3 would certainly be very much an offense operating on schedule. 3rd and 3 is something you expect to get, even though there was a 3rd down day in training camp where, quite curiously, the offense struggled in 3rd and short, but then when they went to 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, the offense did much better. That was one of the more interesting days of training camp.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we'll get to see Bo Nix out there in kind of the dress rehearsal for the regular season. I don't think they're going to get enough reps offensively or defensively with the starters to say it's the real dress rehearsal. So again, I'm kind of thrown off, Mace, because this is different than what we're used to. But with dual joint practices, which I think is going to be the norm.
Yeah.
This is the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure.
The new normal, although maybe league-wide the new normal. I think Sean Payton, when he was asked about it, was a little bit non-committal as to whether to do 2 rounds of joint practice in the future. I think he wants to step back and see how the team does. I think maybe it's going to be based on how the team looks early in the season. Were they prepared for the start of the year, or were they unprepared? Frankly, I think if this team comes out and starts 3-1 and in that race to get better, to which he often refers, they look pretty good, he might be like, okay, great, that worked, let's run it back. But if they start off 1-3 from that first quarter of the season, he might be like, oh, we're not doing that again. I'd prefer to have 3 preseason games and 1 joint practice, 1 round of joint practices. So that, and sometimes the decision can be based on factors as simple as the wins and losses when you actually get to the season, even though they're tend to be other factors involved, like matchups, like injuries that happen, and those injuries may not be connected to your process leading up to the regular season. There are things that may get attributed to or blamed on what you did in training camp that probably aren't affected to what you did in training camp. But this is just kind of how coaches sometimes view these things. They're looking for a cause, and maybe it's not necessarily the cause.
Yeah, it's like when you're watching a game and your team's doing poorly and you switch positions and then your team starts doing good and then you get a cramp because you can't move. Coaches are creatures of habits too.
And your position had nothing to do with it, even though you believe it. Like,
yeah,
your superstition didn't have nothing to do with it. I mean, I learned long ago it's bad luck to be superstitious, but
maybe just a little stitious. Just a little bit from the ground game. For me, I'm so pleased with RJ Harvey. I'm so pleased with what he showed against Arizona. Want to continue that. If there's any sort of carries there, if we happen to see JK Dobbins, I'm sure we'll be very pleased with what the veteran can do as well. But the preseason games are important to me, and we'll talk about the backups like an estimate that would be playing. But it's preseason games important to me because we get live tackling and running backs. You can't lie. You can lie a little bit in practice because they can't tackle you. You can't lie in a game.
Right. And the real intrigue, of course, at running back is going to be beyond the top two and settling how the rest of the depth chart is going to look and getting kind of the final data points in from a game with full tackling. And how often have we heard from Sean Payton that after that final preseason game, you're going to know based on the full body of work. But yeah, I want to see just a little more from RJ Harvey. It was promising last week in that brief cameo that he had there at the start of the game. Just build on that a little bit more. Just take the foundation of last week a little bit more. And then I'd like to see a little bit from JK Dobbins as well, just to kind of get him in the groove, get him ready, get his feet wet. Just a preview, just a taste. If you get that 8 to 10 plays, I'd like to see Dobbins have 1 or 2 touches, and I'd like to see RJ Harvey have 1 or 2 touches. Just kind of a glimpse of what this timeshare is going to look like early on in the season.
Yeah, and how can they produce? We'll see that on Saturday for just a bit, briefly, and hopefully for the Denver Broncos. Do you believe they feature like an Audric Estime? Like, I'm not going to predict that, like they did.
Alberto 2 years ago.
I was going to say Ojemudia. I was like, no, Okuwebunam. They did it with Okuwebunam to kind of feature him for a trade.
Yeah.
Estime is going to be chomping at the bit. This is his last chance to prove himself for likely the practice squad. But the NFL creates this sort of desperation. So to see Estime, and God bless it, I mean, can you get him 12 carries? I'm not going to say 20, but can he get into a rhythm? Some big guys, like his idol Jerome Bettis. Yeah. Jerome Bettis' first 10 carries were for 9 yards. His next 10 carries were for, 80 yards. Like, you got to kind of get going.
And here's the thing, though. If you do that, if you give him enough to get in that kind of rhythm and he pops, do you then have second thoughts about moving him? Let's say you're putting him out there to showcase him, and then he has those 12 carries, and let's say the first 7 are for 8 yards, and then the next 5 are for 50. And it's 12 carries for 58 yards, but for a power runner, if you're averaging nearly 5 yards a carry, that's really good. Then if you had a plan, even if a team calls, do you rethink that?
I believe so. I think it changes the math. I mean, the math was changed. Sean Payton talked about it this week, Mason. You were out there. The math on Devon Vele changed.
Yes.
With the emergence of the other players, with the offer, that offer makes the needle move. So I think there's always math in football and in life that can change. The equation can change based on our observations. And Audric Estime has a real chance. Perhaps his last chance, but a real chance.
Although the interesting thing with Devon Vele, I mean, the math changed, but at the same time, Peyton was noting how even though he said they would have potentially 6 receivers active, that there could be some questions, right? Like, maybe we wouldn't have 6 receivers active. And what would the role have been for whoever that last receiver was? So on the one hand, like, you had Devon Vele in your plans. On the other hand, you're struggling to find a way to work him in if you're going to have that many receivers active. So it's, it's sort of like two things that were going on here that were sort of tugging at each other. And then getting the Saints to give more in that offer and get that 4th round picks, I think made things easy on the Broncos a little bit. And it became the offer that they could not refuse.
Right.
And
ease the blow.
Yeah. And then at that point, it's like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. We'll knock on every surface that we can get to hope that there aren't 2 injuries at wide receiver on Saturday. I mean, wouldn't that be a kick in the rear end if they had a couple of injuries? I mean, heaven forbid that happened, right? But
right.
You
don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
I mean,
Devon Vele probably is not going to play on the Saints side. We're not going to break down the Saints, but like, I don't believe Vele would play, although, a go route's a go route, and maybe he wants to get one in. I'm not saying a Jerry Jeudy game against the Broncos, but if Vele plays, I mean, if you're one of these wide receivers, let's say you are Troy Franklin and you are essentially replacing Devon Vele, you don't want to have that drop. Maybe Bo takes that deep shot and Troy Franklin drops it. I mean, we won't say it, but I know we will see the social networking reaction of like, why Vele would have caught that. I know we're going to see that, Mase, and I don't want to see it. I want to root for Devon Vele when he's not playing the Broncos, and I want these young receivers, Pat Bryant. I don't want any of that narrative. These guys are very good young receivers. Just let them get time and develop.
Yeah, I mean, that's coming at some point.
Oh, yeah.
If Troy Franklin or if Troy Franklin or Pat Bryant drops a pass, that's coming in some circles. Probably from people we know. Perhaps,
but
yes.
we won't participate in that.
No, we won't. But I think people we know are going to be saying that.
Yes,
and I think some of our audience knows exactly who some of those people are.
we may be having conversations.
We kid because we love.
Yes, we kid because we care.
Yes.
And we care about this team, and we care about them doing good things going forward. I guess we haven't talked about the tight ends much.
I think it was interesting that Sean Payton said on Thursday, Nate Adkins not to IR.
Yeah.
That the injury, the length of it is not going to be to a point where he's going to go on IR, and basically saying, hey, we're going to need him. So he didn't want to have him on the shelf for 4 weeks when he was going to need him potentially by week 2, week 3. So there's another thing on your roster calculus now, right? So that's 3 tight ends that you almost certainly know are going to be on the 53. Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, Nate Adkins. I think you can Sharpie all 3 of those guys onto the 53. So are you keeping 4 tight ends? Does Caleb Lohner sneak onto the roster? I mean, I think now with Adkins there, that probably, I would say probably that means if for Caden Prescorn, you're talking practice squad. I think realistically for him, that try to sneak him through. The question now becomes, is the 4th tight end Caleb Lohner? Are you trying to sneak to keep him on the 53, keep those athletic measurables and that upside and the developmental process? Are you afraid of losing him on waivers, and are you keeping him on the 53? But I thought that was an interesting thing, and I'm fascinated to see also roster wise what they do kind of a fullback, depending on now that Nate Adkins is going on the 53. Do they use that second injured reserve spot on Michael Burton now, perhaps?
Yeah.
Because he's got the hamstring. I think, because it's that one injured reserve spot's probably going to be Drew Sanders. now that you've got that other, I would think probably Michael Burton seems a pretty logical player to use that on since you've got two of them.
Yeah, and I'm curious what they think of the development of Lucas Kroll. There were days out there just a week ago in that Arizona joint practice where Kroll was making impactful plays with the first team with Evan Ingram on the field at the same time.
Yes.
So is Kroll in this math? Can you just convince him to just stick around on the practice squad? He's been Sean's developmental guy for a while.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, he is not a vested veteran, so he's subject to the waiver process. That's a dice roll, right? Do you roll the dice, take the risk of him being claimed? And then beyond that, if he goes unclaimed, that's where the sales job comes in. Does he stay here? Do you say, okay, here's your path to playing time? And maybe it's as simple, if he passes through waivers, as saying like, look, Evan Ingram is a 9-year veteran who missed nearly half the season last year. And if something happens to Ingram, you're on deck. You're getting those reps because there's nobody else there's nobody else at the tight end position who can potentially step in and run those routes. That's you. Like there's nobody else who could be a potential joker have the potential joker profile who could run those routes from the tight end position. Now, probably some of those are going to one of the receivers, like maybe Pat Bryant's playing a little bit more, but some of that's going, if Evan Ingram were to be injured, some of that's going to the tight end position, and probably Lucas Kroll is the most logical candidate to pick those up because of his skill set. And so if Lucas Kroll were waived and passed through waivers, that's your sales job to him, to keep him from potentially taking a practice squad invitation from another team. And that is something that's going to come into play here next week, Cease, is even for guys who pass through waivers, there could be some situations like Jalen Virgil where players potentially see clearer paths to playing time through some other team's practice squad rather than the Broncos. There will be some sales pitches involved to keep some guys here.
Yeah, and imagine the charm that Sean Payton to turn on when he's got to sell a guy on staying, like a Lucas Kroll, who maybe, if you say Evan Ingram is the Heath Ledger Joker,
yes,
Kroll is Jared Leto. It's the Joker, it's just not as good.
Yeah, it's the old vision, though. It comes back to selling the vision, right?
Yep.
That's what you got to do. Sell a vision.
He's a charmer, that Sean Payton.
I mean, I think you have to imagine if A.T. Perry goes on waivers and passes through, it's going to be just a reminder of the vision, right? Like just, you were in, just stick with this here. And they did, he'll probably tell him, look, they cleared, Devon Vele is gone. So that's one fewer guy that's in the mix here, right? So there's opportunities here potentially for you. So anyway, that's all these things are going to come into play as well.
Yep. Before we talk a little defense here on our game preview show, Orange and Blue Today, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at ramoslaw.com.
Mase, you had me excited when you said Greenlaw and Singleton.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much we'd see it, but I'm excited for the regular season. If we get a little taste on Saturday, I'll love that too.
Just want to see them working together. Just want to see them, where their communication is at, because one of the things that you see from the best inside linebacker duos is where their communication goes beyond words. It gets to gestures and even gets to looks. That was something with Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell when they were together. Those dudes they got to a point where they just had to look at each other and they knew what each other was going to do. And that's kind of the next level. And I'm real excited because ever since Dre Greenlaw signed with the Broncos, I've been waiting to watch these two together because I think their skill sets just mesh perfectly, with Greenlaw being the guy who can cover so much ground and Alex Singleton being that guy who between the tackles can kind of clean everything up. Like this should work if these two can stay healthy. These two should be the pair of jigsaw puzzle pieces that interlock. Dre Greenlaw was carefully chosen, I think, to pair with Alex Singleton. And of course, Vance Joseph was talking about Alex Singleton on Wednesday being the guy who was his eyes and ears out there. So I think to me, it sort of reinforced how important Alex is to the defense, because Dre kind of fits in skill set wise where Alex is, not to say missing, but where Alex is a little weaker, I think is where Dre is stronger. And that's one of the reasons why I love this partnership potentially so much, is that these two I think they go together like peanut butter and jelly potentially.
Yeah. Does it go together with Uwazurike and Jordan Jackson? When Sean Payton said they could keep 6 receivers,
yeah,
it went from, hey, Uwazurike and Jordan Jackson are going to make the team, to, oh God, if they still keep 6 receivers, they're probably only keeping one of those guys on the defensive line.
I got to say, though, when I did a 53, I had 6 receivers and 7 D linemen. So there is a way. Now, that way
Where'd you cut then?
that way might involve 8 offensive linemen. And so then the question becomes, do you try to slip Frank Crum to the practice squad after having him on the 53 last year, perhaps? So that's another discussion to be had if you want to expose Frank Crum after keeping him on the 53 last year. I mean, there are ways to do it, but it's there are questions that you'd have to answer either way. So I do wonder. I mean, Sean Payton did say that they haven't really gotten any interest on other players at this point as of Thursday, but we also know that the phones often start ringing Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as you really start getting down to the hours before teams get into cuts and they get down to the nitty gritty on things, and teams really kind of hone in on what the rosters are going to look like. So that is something. I mean, Jordan Jackson and Uwazurike's had a terrific camp. Jordan Jackson's had a very good camp. I mean, Jackson had a great day in the joint practice. He just seems to be in position to bat down passes, generates a good rush out there. And I think something that maybe you come back to as well is that Jordan Jackson has the full season of experience last year. He was ahead of Uwazurike last year. He's also, in terms of experience, to use Sean Payton's term, relative to expiration of team control, he's a season younger, because last year was his first year on the active roster, basically. So if you include the restricted free agent year, Broncos have him under potential team control for 3 more seasons, including the RFA year, whereas it's 1 fewer year with Eni Uwazurike. If you're looking for maybe a tie-breaking factor, if they're deadlocked on all accounts, that's maybe one thing that could come into play as well between Uwazurike and Jordan Jackson.
And I know a lot of fans are curious if perhaps a showcase defensively of Damari Mathis could garner any interest. I'm not going to say no, but we'll see, in that secondary, be watching how they're going to do that shuffle at safety with the PJ Locke, JL Skinner, et cetera. And then, what's the future of Damari Mathis if they just have to cut him, or if there's someone that perhaps shows some interest. Certainly he's not going to like the film from the Cardinals game.
Yeah, and I mean, Damari Mathis, the thing that he does have going in his favor is 18 starts to his name, most of them coming, of course, as a rookie, 11 and then 6 in 2023. I mean, probably the best, if you move on from Damari Mathis, if you can trade him, probably the best you're talking about is the the George Payton special of player and a 7 for a 6th round pick. That's probably the best you're going to do. At safety, I think, the one interesting thing that you could talk about with Sam Franklin, for example, is with Franklin, could you release him and do the practice squad elevation thing for 3 weeks and then have him on the active roster after that, because Sam Franklin's a vested veteran? In other words, with Sam Franklin, could you do the Michael Burton, Lil Jordan Humphrey thing? That's possible given, kind of where he is. Given where he is, the only thing working against that, and a reason why I don't think that'll happen, Cease, is his contract, according to Over the Cap, is guaranteed $1.17 million. So, in other words, if you cut him, you'd be on the hook for the guarantee. And then if you did that practice squad thing and then brought him in, you'd have to give him a new contract. So effectively, you'd be paying him double. And so that would basically give you 1.37 million, including the signing bonus of dead money. So I think Sam Franklin, for that reason, is going to be on the 53 because you kind of gave him that guaranteed money. So it takes the Lil Jordan Humphrey type of thing out of it because you gave him that contract. So that's probably not in the mix with Sam Franklin. It's also, for a similar reason, probably not in the mix with Sam Ehlinger, even though he's not got a guaranteed contract. He does have a signing bonus of, I believe, $300,000 as well that comes into play too. So,
well, I know it may or may not be in the mix, Mace, because you have a quick trip to the Crescent City. But if you could sing a Billy Joel song at Pat O'Brien's for me, I would be honored.
Which one?
Oh boy, Uptown Girl.
You gotta be kidding me!
There's so much. What, we didn't start the fire. Who can keep up with that?
Oh, he hates that song.
Yeah. So
I think, hasn't he said that's like his worst song? He's admitted that.
It was catchy as hell, man. It was catchy as hell.
He hates that song.
He hates these cans. I like it.
I mean, all it is like he's just like is listing events. I mean,
right, that are incredibly outdated now.
Well, and then somebody did an update to it, like a few years ago, right? Like,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think a little Uptown. If you could pick a Billy Joel song, which would it be to sing in front of people?
My Life.
Good cut.
Yes.
Good cut.
Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life.
Dun, 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 dun.
Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. Oh, okay. Yeah. See? That's. Oh gosh. Or moving out. Good luck moving up, 'cause I'm moving out. They're both kind of FU songs, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Billy Joel had a little bit of that rebel. He's a rebel out there.
He was a little ticked off out there on Long Island.
Okay, well, if you don't go Pat O'Brien's Piano Bar, some beignets at Cafe Du Monde.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
I'll have some shrimp and oysters, I'll tell you that. Like I'm a seafood guy. Seafood, and I eat it, but not as much as I used to.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like growing our YouTube channel has been all good here, our Denver Sports YouTube channel. We appreciate everyone out there making Orange and Blue today the success that it is. We appreciate that. Tell a friend. We want to keep growing this thing, and we appreciate that all of you out there love what Mase and I do. So thank you. Mase, how can folks further help us out on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe.
Hit that notification bell
so that you never miss a vid. That's right. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mase Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammy saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.